Did you know every card with a comma in its title is a legendary card?
Are you sure?
Yeah. Did you know Arboreal Grazer is an 0-3?
Oh my God.
What's the
Hey,
other one?
Mike, let me tell you a little story about deathtouch and trample.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the SnapCast podcast with your hosts, Brad O'Brien, Mike Cooley. We got some cards to talk about today, man. We got some cool ass cards to
Ikoria
talk
is
about.
killing it.
Man, good set. Good set. So, we're going to start it up and talk about two cards that you might have already seen in the title of this video. We got Stonecoil Serpent that we're going to touch base on today. And then,
Love my homie.
And then I'm bringing it back, man. I'm bringing it back to this cool guy that I was talking about last week, Kaheera, the Orphanguard.
He's bringing it back to cats.
Man,
That's what he's bringing it back to.
There's just more cool stuff about this guy that just keeps popping up, man. I think he's big in the format. So that's where we're going with it today. And thank you guys for joining us. I hope you're holding up well in this whole apocalyptic world we're living in these days. And we appreciate you spending your time with us here today. So
We really, really do. I just want to say we've had a lot of comments on the videos in the last few weeks, and we really appreciate the interaction. Please keep it up. If you feel like you're enjoying what you're listening to, share it with your friends. We would really love to grow the audience and get more constant interaction with you all.
And don't forget to stay sanitized and clean during this whole thing. We highly, highly recommend it. Whatever you're mixing up, just make sure it tastes good, right?
Whatever you want to mutate.
Yes, a perfect. This is why we did mixed drinks today. Okay, this is we're talking about mutating stuff. Okay, we're really diving in to. We're going all in on this with some Stonecoil Serpent action here. So Brad opened my eyes to this as soon as you know it clicked. I was like, oh, Brad, what is it about this Stonecoil Serpent guy?
Well, we talked about this guy way back in like January in one of our first couple of episodes. You're talking about a card that fits anywhere on your mana curve. It is a single X spell that is an artifact creature snake. Reach, trample, protection from multicolored, and it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters. I think this card is great in just about any deck. Now, thinking about cards, I'm looking at the new Ikoria spoilers and thinking all of these cards are cool, but what cards are already in binders? What cards were printed in the last sets that are going to see play now? And I'm more excited about Mutate than I am about Companion. And when you realize that +1/+1 counters and how they work with Mutate, you think Stonecoil Serpent is a busted target for the most busted Mutate cards. Because if you mutate onto Stonecoil Serpent, you get the power of the mutation creature, you get that many +1/+1 counters, you get that creature's abilities, and you still retain reach, trample, and protection from multicolored.
So crazy, man. The only drawback to it is you kind of have to mutate monocolored cards because unfortunately it doesn't have hexproof from multicolored. It has the protection from multicolored.
Correct.
So you can't target it with your own multicolored mutates. But man, like you may not even need to. Like there's just some really cool single colored mutate cards that play along very, very well with Stonecoil Serpent.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. This precludes you from playing any of the Apexes as a mutate on Stonecoil Serpent. Not that you couldn't still play this in those decks, but you really want to be looking at the sort of smaller ball things. But one of the most talked about mutate creatures I've seen is Sea Dasher Octopus.
That's really been talked about quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
No kidding.
Quite a bit. Oh yeah.
I sent that out to some people and was like, yo, I feel like nobody's talking about this, and this is a really cool card, man. But I'm glad it's caught on. I'm glad that some people are talking about this now.
So Sea Dasher Octopus, the base creature is 1 blue for a 2/2 flash creature type octopus that whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. But the mutate cost is just 1 and a blue.
So 2 mana, 2/2, flash, basically.
Correct.
And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. And you can mutate with flash too. So can you just imagine, like, now you have a Stonecoil Serpent and you're swinging in for 1, right?
Right. So turn 1, Stonecoil Serpent for 1, go. Your opponent's turn 1, they play a Boreal Grazer. Okay. Turn 2, second land, swing with the Stonecoil Serpent. They block. You flash mutate. Your Stonecoil Serpent becomes a creature with base power 2/2 plus a 1/1 counter plus reach, trample, protection from multicolor. And when you trample over for 1 and kill their Boreal Grazer, you draw a card.
So wait, is our Boreal Grazer's toughness 2 or is it 3? I think either
Am I
way,
wrong?
killing an Arboreal Grazer regardless.
Yeah, right on turn 2.
When your turn 1 play was like a 1/1, you know what I mean? That Arboreal Grazer gets to be annoying very quickly. Bless you. Because
I'm allergic to my own bullshit because you're probably right. It's an 0/3.
Yeah. I mean, and the only reason I know that is because
so stupid.
Yeah, the only reason I know this is because it's so annoying. I was playing mono red in standard for the longest time, and whenever someone would be like, "Turn 1 Arboreal Grazer," I'm like, "God damn it!" Like,
I don't want to get off on a tangent here.
Yeah.
But this is another card that, okay, Simic is really popular right now. Let me play turn 1 Arboreal Grazer.
So good.
Turn 2, third land, swing with my Arboreal Grazer because it doesn't have Defender.
Yeah.
And then you flash mutate with your stupid Kraken.
Well, you know what? We'll get there in a little while because I got something to say about Arboreal Grazer and one of our boys over here, Kaheera.
I'm just saying he's a great target for equipment and mutation, but
yeah.
Still talking about Stonecoil Serpent.
Yeah.
Fills in anywhere on your mana curve. I think Sea Dasher Octopus is one of the first things that I think of is with a creature that has trample, giving you the opportunity to draw a card over their blockers, doing it at instant speed. So good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not to mention, it just kind of inherently has protection from all of the other mutate dudes, right? So like all of the big mutate dudes, this guy has protection from. So like not only are you sneaking past them, but none of their nasty mutate abilities can target Stonecoil Serpent. So
that's interesting.
So if you're going up against another mutate deck that's running all of these multicolored mutate things, it turns your creature that color, you know, whichever they're mutating. So
like Snap decks, Apex of the Hunt, whenever this creature mutates, it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. Well, that ain't gonna hit Stonecoil Serpent.
Ain't gonna hit this guy, right? Exactly. So yeah, that's also just something to think about. Like, you know, this is Stonecoil Serpent is sort of a way to get under the mutate cost of all of these other decks that might be trying to do mutate. You know what I mean? Just take the 2/2 blue guy and just flash him in, get some card advantage. Maybe you're running just straight blue, and you have that and some other card advantage, right? And you just
Brazen Borrowers.
Yep, Brazen Borrowers. Fuck it. Yep.
Because and I mean, you just play a tempo deck, but you're a little bit more beefy beat stick with the Stonecoil Serpents that can fill in your curve when you've got extra mana.
I think there might be room in standard for a deck that's kind of like that. Because if you think about it, there's sort of already 2 decks out there like that in standard right now, right? We have the enchantment deck that's, you know, Cetessan Champion. They're just throwing an enchantment down on your hexproof guy and trying to protect it. And then you have a mono blue sort of tempo style deck. Now just imagine you have Stonecoil and you have these, you know, maybe it's not just mono blue. Maybe you splash another color for some other cool mutate cards. But like you can either mutate onto Stonecoil Serpent and protect him with your counter magic. You know what I mean? And that way you sort of serve both ends of those, of what those decks are trying to do. You're tempoing them. You're getting a very early lead. You know what I mean? Or establishing a very early board presence that continues to grow, which is everything that the mono blue deck is trying to do. It's like trying to continue to grow that, that one creature that they slammed on the board or something. Stonecoil does that. Well, mutate allows you to do that with Stonecoil. And if you're running counter magic, man, it's pretty sweet. Like it's pretty sweet way to
queen.
protect your dude. So It's interesting. I'd be curious to see if there's a deck archetype that sort of develops like that, because I feel like the work is there, like the workings are there for a deck to be developed. Will it be? I don't know. I wouldn't put too much stock into it, but regardless, Stonecoil Serpent opens up those opportunities and those abilities in not just that deck archetype, but a lot of them. So
before we think about moving anywhere else, Mike and I don't think Mike feels as strongly about this guy as I do, but there's Insatiable Hemophage, which is 3 and a black for a creature type nightmare. We'll talk about nightmares later. It's a 3/3 with Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield or when it mutates, each opponent loses X life, you gain X life, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. Okay, so if you can mutate this once, you drain for 1. No big deal. The mutate cost for this card is 2 and a black. So thinking about my Christmas land, whatever, optimal scenario, if you play a Stonecoil Serpent on 2, and so you have a 2/2 reach, trample, protection for multicolored, on turn 3, if you can mutate an Insatiable Hemophage on them, you'll drain them for 1, gain 1, and then you're swinging with a 5/5 Death Touch, reach, and trample.
yeah, the Stonecoil Serpent just allows you to stay so far ahead of that mutate curve. I think that's the big ability there. Like, not only is it so cheap, and it has all of these abilities. It has 3 abilities with it, like reach, trample, protection from multicolored. But then it just allows you to stay ahead of this mutate curve. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, I don't feel necessarily the same as Insatiable Hemophage. I don't think it's a terrible card. But I was telling Brad, Death Touch gets like less and less cool the bigger the creature is. You know what I mean? Like if Emrakul had Death Touch, it wouldn't mean anything. You know?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like creatures are probably dying if they touch him anyway. Like, you know what I mean? That's basically how it is. Like if you have a 1/1 Death Touch and it's sitting there on the board, no one's swinging into it with their nice creatures. You know what I mean? Or you can practically count on it being unblockable. Like if you swing in with 1, no one's blocking it. Even if they have some dumb 1/1 that they plan on mana ramping with, they're probably still not going to go creature for creature with your stupid 1/1 Death Touch. Like, so, but then again, if you have now let's reverse the roles there, and you have a 6/6, like, Get Rog monster, which, surprise, has Death Touch. Nobody knows that because it doesn't matter. Like, it's a 6/6, and when it cracks a creature, it usually dies anyway. But yeah, like a creature like that, you would chump that with one of your smaller dudes or one of your less significant dudes anyway. You know what I mean? So the bigger the creature gets, the less Death Touch matters, I think. But
I think you're going too deep on it. Like, so my 2/2 Stonecoil becomes a 5/5. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to block it because they're going to lose their creature. Like with Death, or they're going to block it either way because it's a 5/5. But if they block it with a 5/5, you only have to assign 1 damage to it, and you still hit them for 4.
Yeah.
So even if they can block and trade, because you only have to assign lethal damage. With trample?
No, I'm sorry. With trample, like you're saying, like if you have let's say you have a 4/4 there.
Yeah.
You only have to assign 1 damage, and then you can assign the rest to. That's not true. You have to deal lethal damage to the creature first.
Right, but 1 damage is lethal with Death Touch.
Really? Does it work like that? I thought you had to deal full lethal damage to it. You really? Really? Does it really work like that?
Death Touch and trample, you only have to assign 1 damage for that to be lethal.
Does it really work like that? Oh my gosh, if it does, that just blew my magic mind, man. And now I'm going to have to, now I take back everything I said, and I'm going to have to work around this. I thought you had to deal full lethal damage to the character equal to its power. Equal to its toughness. Because that creature blocks that much damage for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. But this is interesting. See, this is why I love our conversations, man. It's because, like, I would have never freaking thought of this.
By the way, I have to concede that you were right with the stacking of your triggers for the, we can talk about that. the return from the graveyard triggers. We did have
Yep.
Our good friend Andy commented on that and did say.
Yep.
But let's see. Tapped.net. Do Death Touch and Trample have an interaction? Death Touch means that any damage is considered lethal damage. Yes, they do work together. Just to follow up, this interaction works. This person is right. Lethal damage becomes 1.
What?
If the creature has Trample but not Death Touch, you still have to assign lethal.
Oh, my friggin' word.
So, now do you see why I'm excited about giving Stonecoil Serpent Death Touch?
Yes, I do. Holy shit, I didn't understand that. Like, did you guys know that? I just learned something here. I had no idea. I played Magic for, I don't know, close to 20 years now. Like, I had no idea it worked like that. So if you have Trample and Death Touch, then, and you block, your opponent blocks with a creature that's a 1/8, let's say, and he blocks your 5/5 Stonecoil Serpent, you can choose to assign 1 damage to the 1/8, and then the rest to the player.
Yep.
Oh my God, man, that's cool.
And so
I had no idea that was the case.
If you play Stonecoil Serpent on 1, on 2, you hit it with the 1 in a blue octopus.
Oh my God.
On 3, you hit it with the other guy.
Oh my God.
You lost 1 power, but you gained Death Touch, draw a card.
What? No friggin' way, dude. Wow, I had no idea it worked that way.
And this is why
I'm still shocked about that. Like, that has literally morphed everything I've known about Magic for the longest time. Just take a minute and digest that. Trample and Death Touch work together to your advantage. I had no idea. Here I am. I thought for sure that it was like, let's say I have a 3/3 and you have a 4/4, and my 3/3 has Trample and Death Touch, and you block it with your 4/4. I thought for sure both of them just trade, and like, you don't take any damage, but that's not the case.
Well, and I think you have to announce to your opponent, I am dealing 1 damage to that and 2 trample.
Okay, so why isn't it the case then? Let's say you had a 1/1 indestructible, and he goes to try to block a Blightsteel Colossus. How about
-1 counters?
No, let's take that back. How about a Darksteel Colossus? And he doesn't absorb all the damage, though. Why not? Because nothing is lethal. Infinite amounts of damage are not lethal.
I'm not following your example.
So you have let's say I have a blocker that's a 1/1 indestructible.
Okay.
And he's just sitting there holding the fort against Darksteel Colossus, which is an 11/11 trample.
Okay.
He blocks the Darksteel Colossus.
And 10 trample over.
I would still take 10 damage. Why? If we're going off the concept of this lethal damage.
Because you have to assign 1 damage to it to get over its toughness. I think about trample as like a wall, and you have to be this tall to ride the ride. So if you're a 1/1 and I have a 10/10, 9 get over the wall.
Right. See, that's always how I thought of it, with no exceptions. And now this Death Touch is an exception.
Death Touch says 1 blows up your wall.
Wow. I just had my mind blown, dude. So, I'm so glad we had that conversation, and I'm so glad that you brought that up now. I thought for sure. Was anybody else sitting back and being like, why the hell is Brad bringing up this card? Like, this is not even good.
Well, and I would say 4 mana for, like, its base creature cost. Let me find it again. I think it's 4 mana for a 3/3 Death Touch. Yeah, 4 mana for a 3/3 Death Touch. That if it mutates, you drain, is not great. Actually, if you look at a lot of the mutate costs, the creatures are pretty fair. Like a 3/4 for 4 that can deal damage. I'm just looking at a couple here. 4 mana for a 3/3 Death Touch is like, that's like limited.
Yep.
Like, okay, I'd play it in limited. If you're going to mutate it multiple times, you're draining for more and more. That might actually have some value.
Yeah.
But
wow, dude, this is just so cool. Like, there's so much stuff you could do.
Stonecoil Serpent is the gift that keeps on giving.
Man. And there's, I mean, just all of these, like, what you would consider stupid uncommons that if you look at them next to Stonecoil Serpent is pretty nasty. Like this pouncing shore shark guy, like shark with arms over here. It's, it's a 4/3 with its mutate cost being 4.
Don't look at the art. Don't look at the art.
Don't look at the art, man.
Pouncing foreskin.
Yep. But its mutate cost is 4. And it has flash, so you can just do it whenever. And when you do this, you return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. So, like, so dude, on turn 1, you're slamming a Stonecoil Serpent. Turn 2, you're flashing in the dude that lets you draw a card when you can act. Turn 3, you're giving this fucker death touch. Turn 4, you're bouncing whatever dude that they drop down to deal with it. And
right. and upgrading it to a 4/3 plus whatever counters it had.
Yep.
Reach, trample, death touch. When it deals combat damage, draw a card. So wow. I think, all right, so now we're talking about a blue-black sort of tempo deck. We can still play the Brazen Borrowers. We can play some of the counter spells. I think, so Stonecoil Serpent, we talked about it months ago. It's going to see play in Legacy. It's going to see play in Modern. If you don't have them,
snap this shit up, homies.
Yeah.
Snap this shit up. Yeah, it's really good, man. It's one of those cards. You're gonna look at it in a few years and be like, yeah, why didn't I think that was good? Like that's a good card, that Stonecoil Serpent. So yeah, get him, man. Snap him up. So this other card that we talked about.
What shot Mike's toe up in his boot?
My boy. Or girl. I don't know what, I'm not gonna assume the gender of this card. All right, I'm just going to call it for what it is, and that is friggin' awesome and majestic.
Majestic as a mofo.
Kaheera, the Orphanguard. I'm going to say it again, is a really good card. And I just noticed this week that foils of this card are pre-ordering at $5 or less. I think that's a really good buy at $5. So I would say, Kaheera, snap this shit up as well. Get the foils for $5. You can basically get them anywhere pre-ordering right now for $5. I don't think people really understand how good this card's going to be. There's a lot with it, man. There's so much with this card. So we talked about it before because we were talking about if anyone got our joke that we put in our last video about Joe Exotic. We were talking about cats the whole time, right?
Big cats.
We were talking about big cats the whole time. Arabo and Kaheera and just a whole bunch of Carol Baskin orphans,
I was just going to say, Carol, the Baskin Guard.
Carol, the Baskin Guard. Yeah, so we put a little joke in there for the people that got that. Nice. We're proud of you. That was the Joe Exotic reference. We just did a lot of talking about cats. Well, this cat's back, all right? And for not strictly cat reasons, right? Like, this card is just so good in so many levels. I mean, yeah, obviously I'm going to put this cat in Nikki's Arabo deck. Exactly. We're going to make that work. But did you happen to notice all of the other creature types that are associated with this, right? So let me read these to you. It says not only does Kaheera apply to cats, right? It applies to elementals, nightmares, dinosaurs, and beasts, okay? And just as a refresher, the companion, it's a companion card, so you can run it from outside the game, and all of the creatures in your deck have to be those types, right?
And they don't have to be just one.
Right.
They can be a mix of all of those.
Any of those types, right?
So it's not like they have to be all cats or all elementals.
Exactly. Just a mix of those creature types. And then this is just a 3/2 for 3 that has vigilance and pumps all of those creature types. He's a lord for all of those creature types. So it might not seem like much, right? And you might be thinking, well, maybe the deck restriction kind of passes it, to the point of like you can't really make a deck with it. Until you go and look at all of the creature types that are those types. And I've saved you some work, okay? I love this type of stuff. I love doing this kind of thing. I saved you some work. I went on Gatherer and I did a search that I just tailored, for standard legal cards. What cards?
Standard legal.
Yes.
Not even looking at
anything else. Just wondering what kind of impact this will have in standard, because I think that will most directly affect its price. But what creatures in standard are all of those creature types, right? Like, or are any of those creature types? So I literally didn't care about commonality or rarity or whatnot. Just give me a list of all of them. I'll look through and I'll pick out some good ones that it's like, wow, I can't believe that card is one of these creature types. So let me read down for you, right? And tell you some of these things that Kaheera works with, right?
And so I know that I was messing around on the computer there for a second, but we did say that it's a 3/2 with vigilance, and it's a lord for all of those creature types, right?
Yes, we did say that.
Okay.
Yep.
I know we read the companion part, but just to really stress that the effect that this 3-mana 3/2 has is a lord effect for all of those creature types.
It's a lord effect, so it pumps them and gives them vigilance. So like,
vigilance.
yeah, so it has vigilance itself. It pumps them +1/+1 and gives them vigilance. So listen to all of these cards in standard currently that Kaheera works with that like would be perfectly fine as those creature types in the deck. Ready? All of the Cavaliers.
All elementals.
All of them are elementals. All those Cavaliers, they work well. Granted, the Cavaliers are probably good in and of themselves. The point of me saying these isn't necessarily to say, hey, we should jam all of these in a deck, but more to be like, you know, right. Think of this, like when you're thinking of deck building. All of the Cavaliers fit right into that, right? They all match that. Something that's we got a little kitty over here making some. He heard us talking about Kaheera, and he's just like, "That's my boy too. That's my boy."
Come here, make us internet famous.
Oh man.
Nope.
Oh,
he's gone.
He ain't gonna. Next week. He almost joined the podcast here a second ago. Brad was trying to get him up here, and he's gonna make his first appearance. Hold on, we'll finish this Kaheera thought in just a minute. Now, we'd like to welcome our third guest to the podcast. Let's give it up for Mr. Kitty.
This is General Chow. He's deaf.
Listen to that loud ass.
He's got breath from Satan himself. But
yeah,
he's all right. He's camera shy. He does not want to look at the camera. Okay, go on.
He's like, what the hell is this?
Why did you do that?
He's a good cat, man. He's so you said he was deaf and
deaf, dumb, and yes. He is was born with closed ear canals. So deaf from birth.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, he's pretty cool.
He's a good kitty, man. He's still chilling under the desk here, just like looking at us, like, yeah,
why are you not interacting with me?
He's like, who's this guy?
Interact with me.
So I think when we mention Kaheera and when we do this kind of stuff, it's like the call of his people.
Right, you're singing the song of his people.
That's right. Yeah,
oh, there he is.
See, yeah, I just mentioned Kaheera again. Now he's jumping up on my lap. He's like, I know him. But
I met a robber in a bar once.
Perfect timing on this cat, man. Just giving us love when we're talking about this. My boy, Kaheera, right? So
all the Cavaliers. Who else?
So also, this is not something that's necessarily intuitive, right? Like you wouldn't necessarily think of this, but fits right into the creature types. Nissa, the Planeswalker, right? It makes elementals out of lands.
I hate Nissa.
It's a really annoying Planeswalker,
And why make 3/3 hasty, vigilant land elemental creatures when you can make 4/4 hasty,
right?
Vigilant land elemental mother of God.
It's pretty vicious, man. So yeah, and the only reason I know that is because I watched Magic Aid's video, where he kind of just designs this deck that takes into account these new cards, and he was really speaking highly of Kaheera as well. And he makes use out of Nissa and turning the lands into elementals. So now you have 4/4 lands. So just really cool. But also, as you all may know, Risen Reef is also an elemental. So it's, that plays right in well. Like it's right even in the same color wheel as this guy. And it's just really good, man. Like, you're not only are you pumping this with Kaheera, but Risen Reef is also its own cool component of these elemental
obviously
decks.
that's been its own deck right off the bat. And so if you're just adding more synergy to it, you play a Risen Reef, then you play, what's Kaheera's type? It's cat.
It's a cat beast.
Cat beast. So it's not going to trigger Risen Reef, but.
Right. But still, I mean, it's the fact that it, can play well with that card, right? And then, so here are some more crazy ones, right? That, this was also one that Magic Aids had talked about. The new card that everybody's so hyped up about, right? The Fiend Artisan.
Yeah.
Is also, it's a nightmare. It fits one of those creature types. So Kaheera works. It just happens to play very well with this card too. You know what I mean? So why not with this card, right? Like, why not with Kaheera? I mean, you can really just build these nasty decks with these cool ass creatures that you'd probably run anyway. Yep. And here's
and you can just have a Lord in the sideboard.
Exactly. Just random Lord in the sideboard. And here's another thing. You can also run 3 more in your main deck. Like, you can have the one outside the game, right? That you can cast at once.
From your sideboard.
From your sideboard. But then you can also just run 3 more of this guy main deck if you like him that much.
He is legendary.
Yep.
So
is he?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a comma in his name. Usually that's a pretty good sign. Yeah, legendary creature. Okay.
But you can. So if you were trying to build an aggressive deck that really wanted to have the Lord all the time, you can play the one out of the sideboard. They kill it, and then you just play one out of your hand.
Right.
No big deal.
Oh, exactly.
Or you play one out of your hand. They kill that, and the next turn you just play the one out of your sideboard.
Yeah. And you know what else? I mean, we're not even done. This list is so huge of good cards that fit into this creature type. It's
bigger than a baby's arm.
That's pretty huge, especially if you zoom in. It's probably about the size of an infant. Like, it's insane, man. It's a good list.
It's a big monitor.
I didn't even put all the elementals. There were some cool ones that I'm just like, that seems like it could be really cool, but I just didn't put it down because not many people would know about it.
Right.
Like,
everything on this list that you put together, people are gonna know.
Exactly. Like, you should have heard about the card likely. But here's a big one, and a callback to earlier, right? Arboreal Grazer. It's a beast, which is another one of these creature types that Kaheera mentions and says, hey. So
let me just have a 1/4 blocker.
Right? And it doesn't have to be a blocker. You can crack somebody with it. Like, it doesn't have defender.
Yeah, I know. I remember I mentioned that earlier.
So you go turn 1 Arboreal Grazer, turn 2 Kaheera out of your sideboard, and then you just have this like Vigilant Reach 1/4 that's just cracking in.
Oh my
it's like
goodness.
just waiting for something.
Vigilance
and Reach, dude. It's so cool. So, I mean, I feel like that's just one of those cards. They're gonna have to handle it. Like, they're gonna have to prepare for Kaheera because he's just so nasty. Here are some other cards. I'm just gonna rapid fire down through some of them. Okay, Hydroid Krasis, nasty, right? Skycat Sovereign, what people are calling the new Tarmogoyf, also fits within these creature types. Chandra's Spitfire, it's red, not necessarily in the same color wheel, but doesn't have to be, right? Creeping Trailblazer, it's a cat elemental for a 2-drop. I think it's a 3/2. This is insane. I had to put this down. I'm sorry. I said I was going to go rapid fire. I have to stop here because this is sick. Like, this is a card probably not a lot of people know about. I'm not sure if it's new or if it has already been out, but I saw this.
See, I mentioned this last week, and you were like, yeah, that's a reprint.
No.
About the Skycat?
No. Creeping Trailblazer. Yep.
Oh, that dude.
This guy's cool. So I believe he's a 3/2. Brad's going to look him up here. But he's a 3/2 elemental cat, I believe. No, 2/2. Elemental. I'm thinking of something else.
Elemental.
Yep. Other elementals. It pumps your elementals. Other elementals get +1/+0. So you mean to tell me you can have this guy, Kaheera, and like your Risen Reef and shit like that in the deck too? Like, This is... So not only is your Risen Reef now like crazy about this guy coming into play and giving you some awesome triggers, but damn, dude, they all have vigilance and they keep lording each other and like they're getting bigger. And before you know it, this Risen Reef is just out of control because you have all these other nasty cards here with it. And then also this Creeping Trailblazer, if you happen to have Risen Reef in play and you're just getting these nasty triggers and you're getting lands into play, he has this 4-mana ability that just says pay 4 mana. He gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each elemental you control. So, like, now if you're stacking your deck out with elementals and this guy comes down, he's pumping your other elementals and he has this nasty ability. He's a 2/2 for 2, right?
Yep.
Pumps your other elementals. Like, he's so cool. Not a lot of people know about him, but I had to put him down because I'm like, this has to be some sort of synergy with, with what all of this new stuff coming in. But, yeah, so Creeping Trailblazer, right? Lovestruck Beast also fits the Beast category, right? Will get pumped. It's already a 5/5 for a low mana cost, but hey, now it can be a 6/6. Basically, all of the new companion cards, it's not all of them. Some of them are not in those creature types, but many of them are. So Kaheera works with a lot of the new companion cards. Here's this one, Nullhide Ferox. Friggin' Nullhide Ferox is a beast. Or, I don't know, he fits into those creature types. He was returned in my search. So he definitely fits the criteria. He's already a nasty dude to deal with. And now you literally, with Kaheera, you shrink the clock down one more turn with him. Like, it's really good, man. Like that, it might not seem like +1/+1 is really significant on a 6/6, but it literally lowers your clock turn for an additional turn. You're basically gaining an additional turn by bumping him +1.
So you're talking about a 3-turn clock
versus a 4-turn. Yep. So, really, really cool. Questing Beast, also a nasty, nasty beast that is pumped by Kaheera. And then some odd off-color cards that people might not be thinking about, right? Red cards, Scorch Spitter, the guy, he's a 1/1, the 1/1 for 1 that deals 1 damage when it attacks. Scorch Spitter's an elemental. Runaway Steamkin is an elemental. Like, there is the potential for an elemental deck in here. Like that red-green elemental, the 2/2 for 2 that we were talking about, can pump all of these elementals that are already used in aggressive red decks. And then Kaheera, if you're running the green, he just comes in and makes it worse at, like, the worst possible time. He just makes it worse. You know what I mean? So I feel like he could be aggressive. He can be defensive. He can be a lot of different things. And then also, Thrashing Brontodon just happens to also be a dinosaur, which is one of the
creature types.
Just
to fuck with you.
Yep, just to fuck with you. Like, now you got a 4.
Check.
Now you got a 4/5 here that can destroy an artifact. Like, it's just so nasty, man. This card is so good. I would say pick them up.
I think you're onto something.
For sure. You get them for $5 on Star City, I believe. And I'm not sure how many they limit you to ordering. I think a lot of these big sites do that. Like, they'll set out some number out there that's not a total representation of what they will have, but it's so that when it's to protect themselves against price buyouts. You know what I mean? When someone's like, oh, you just bought all 8 copies at $5, like, and they're all going to one person. All right, we're going to not restock this for a little bit and just see what the price is doing. Are you buying them out elsewhere? What's going on? And then they'll price them accordingly. You know what I mean?
TCG Player has 2 vendors that are trying to pre-sell these. And I'll say right now, they're on TCG, they're closer to about $8 for the foils, but you can only get a playset on there.
Right.
Like, you'd spend $25 on a playset of foils. I think having one of these in foil, if you ever may play a Rabo or Cats, certainly worthwhile. If you're looking to spec, I think this is a guaranteed hit in the Cat deck.
Oh, for sure. But even the foils too. Like, a lot of people are going to be running this from outside the game. So, like, why not have a foil as your guy who's sitting there as your companion? And that way, it also helps you if you run the rest of them as regular and you tilt, as they say. It helps you remember which one goes to the board. Like, you see, oh, hey, I'm tilted. That means this is going to the board. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a thought. I think there's going to be a big spike in the foil versions of these, man. Especially, you can get them at $5. Brad brought up a good point. They're already $8 on TCG Player. You can get them for cheaper. I would definitely suggest doing it. My official suggestion is eBay. I didn't see a lot of pre-orders on eBay, but the ones that I did see were like straight play sets for $20. And oftentimes it's free shipping. It's a better deal than going on to Star City or in this case TCG Player. But just look at that, like, and by the very least, if you don't see them on there for $20, you can go on Star City and they're $4.99. And you can pay the $3 shipping or whatnot. It's still a pretty good deal.
Great card.
Yeah, man.
Want to talk about some just other general awesome cards stuff in this set, or
Hell yeah, man.
what are you thinking?
Dude, I'm thinking let's talk about it. There's a lot of stuff. Brad and I have this spreadsheet that we kind of bounce back and forth with ideas and everything. And right up at the top of the sheet, it's fucking 2 words. The first words I see opening this thing up: new humans.
New humans.
I'm like, oh, great.
I think I don't know how many of these humans are actually going to make it into Modern. The humans community on Facebook is pretty active. Reed Duke just recently put an article up on Channel Fireball that was actually behind a paywall, which is uncommon for Channel Fireball. I saw it, and he was trying to run 3 copies of the General Kudrow.
He's really cool.
He is really cool.
He was one of the better ones I looked at in that list.
1 white black for a legendary creature human soldier. It's 3/3 for 3, and it is also a lord. So sort of like what we just talked about with Kaheera, it's a 3/3, or this one is a 3/3 for 3. That is a lord for other humans.
Mm-hmm.
It also has some graveyard interaction. When he or another human enters the battlefield, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. If you pay 2, sacrifice 2 humans, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Friggin' power creep, man. The amount of text on this card is crazy, and I still am not certain it's going to get played in humans.
It's so nuts. It's a 3/3 for 3 instant vanilla test pass and just about every cool ability you could ever ask out of a human. You know what I mean? The difference is, like, here's why I don't think you'll see a lot of play out of this nasty card, because you have to pay 2 mana.
For that?
Yeah, you have to pay 2 mana. So its bottom ability says pay 2, sacrifice 2 humans, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Can you just imagine if it was just sacrifice 2 humans, destroy target? Oh my God, get out of town. That would be stupid. Be played all over.
One of the things that I think people haven't experimented with enough, there are a lot of cards in this set that make human tokens. And so I think that's really where this is aiming to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that may work well with humans in Pioneer. So I've been sort of spitballing this idea of a Mardu humans for Pioneer. And there's a couple of cards in this set that make me think about it. So there's General Kudrow.
Wow.
And then there is the General's Enforcer, which is just white-black. Okay. You're thinking, okay, just right now, white-black seems good enough. General's Enforcer is a 2/3 for 2, but legendary humans you have are indestructible. 4 mana, exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, create a human soldier. So you can exile any card for 4 mana. I don't know. In an aggressive deck, you're probably not getting to the 4 mana. But legendary humans you control have indestructible is remarkable text when you start to think about the cool legendary humans available to you in Pioneer. So Mike had his list. My list is much shorter. It is smaller than a baby's arm. Tajik. Awesome.
Yeah, wow.
Red, white, 3/2 with haste. Non-combat. Prevents non-combat damage to other creatures you control.
Yeah, and is even used in Modern at some point. So it's definitely use that in Pioneer.
Judith the Scourge Diva. Another lord.
Wow.
Your creatures get pumped, and when they die, you can ping any target.
God damn, that's so good. That's so good.
General Thalia Heretic Cathar, the 3 mana Thalia, 3/2 that your opponent's creatures and non-basic lands come into play tapped.
Yeah, wow.
General Kudrow, Kytheon,
Wow.
1 drop in white, Kari Zev, Skyship Raider. So these are humans in Mardu colors that I think there's got to be a deck here now.
Wow. Yeah, that's really good, man. I was thinking when I saw this guy, this is also one of the cooler ones, the General's Enforcer. I was also thinking about Modern and some possible like variants of a human deck that you still keep your disruption, but your big power hitters are like legendary dudes. You know what I mean? Maybe you run more Tajiks. Maybe you know, obviously you have Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. Maybe you run more Thalia, Heretic Cathar. You know, maybe you run. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of legendary humans that I'm forgetting that like you could jam in there. That, you know, I mean, it might. I don't know though. This is coming from a non-humans player, so I don't know if there's much wiggle room with the humans deck to like start messing up with it. You know, messing around with it too much. But I just feel like this card right here is so powerful because one of the biggest ways that a human's deck dies, from what I've seen, is you just get spot removed, you get board wiped, you get, you know, that's how you die. Like it was an instant scoop when, you know, when I jammed a walking ballista and you were just like, yeah, this is ridiculous.
I'm going to go eat a sandwich.
Yep. But now think about this guy. If I jam if I could jam a walking ballista and then you have a 2/3 to get through before you can hit any of the other cooler, better humans, well, suddenly it's not as cool. This guy, by the way, a 2/3 for 2 mana.
Pretty good.
Really good, man.
With 2 really good lines of text.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in Pioneer, I think the second line comes into play quite a bit. Like, you know, it's or even really, if the game drains out for long enough, his second ability, 4 mana, a white, black, and 2. Exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, create a 1/1 white human.
The cool thing about that is Thalia's Lieutenant doesn't care if it's a token.
Yeah, wow. Yep.
If it's a human, it'll grow Thalia's Lieutenant. If it's a 1/1 white human soldier token, it'll become a 2/2. So. And then with Kudrow, that token's a 3/3. You know, like there's something to it.
Yeah, I think for sure, man. This is probably one of the better ones. I also did like there's 2 of them right at the top of your list. The Draneth Magistrate. We talked about him last time. He just stops people from casting cards anywhere other than their hand. Sort of adds like a death and taxes feel to your humans deck.
Yeah, and I wanted to look at because we did have some great comments from Andy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he brought up some good points, man. All this new adventure shit, it stops it. They cannot cast their adventure cards. Oh, you played a Love Struck Beast? That's great. He's never coming into play.
Can't cast things from Light Up the Stage. Can't cast stuff from Chandra Exiles.
Oh, my God.
Can't cast your commander.
Wow.
So this guy might be an auto-include in...
you can't cast companions.
You can't cast companions from outside the game.
Oh, that's so good. This guy is so good. That's
Man,
so
my
good.
brain is fried. Who's the green-white legendary 2/2 can't cast non-creature spells with X in their mana cost?
Gaddock Teague.
Gaddock Teague.
Yep.
So this guy, Draneth Magistrate, would probably go really well in like a Gaddock Teague commander deck.
Oh, yeah. Just death and taxes style. Like, you're just basically trying to tax people out. Oh, dude, this guy right here, too. We're scrolling by this other guy. We've talked about Draneth. You guys know who he is. He's nasty.
The next guy is on my list.
Yes. This guy, I think, is an unsung hero here. And I think very undervalued already. I don't think enough people are looking at him. Good pick on your list. Lava Brink Venturer. This guy is nasty.
2 and a white, creature human soldier. As Lava Brink Venturer enters the battlefield, choose odd or even. You don't have to roll a die. You can choose. You can look at your opponent and go, oh, I see. You're playing them Jund cards, are you? I would like to choose odd.
Or how about I kite sail freeboot you, and now I see that you have Lightning Bolt, you have the Kolagon's Command, and then you have Abrupt Decay, and I take the Abrupt Decay, and then I call odd. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's so bad, man. Like it's
on a
so
3/3 for 3.
Yeah.
So when you choose odd or even, Lava Brink Venturer gets protection from that converted mana cost.
Yep.
So odd converted mana cost or even converted mana cost. So I'm going to name even and swing right past your Skoos.
Pretty nasty.
Swing right past your Tarmogoyf.
Very nasty. And I mean, even just in Modern, calling odd shuts down so much. Like, you have to be playing a specific type of deck at that point to deal with the creature.
Yeah. I mean, so much of the basis of Modern is 1-drops. 1-drops and 3-drops, and Modern tops out at 3.
You know what you could call also when you call even? You know what this guy has protection from?
What?
Walking Ballista.
Yeah.
Cannot be ballisted, man.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good, dude.
Sorry, your Ballista has a CMC of 0
It
on
sure
the board.
does. It sure does. Yep. So can't be ballisted, man. There's your answer. All this ballista in your humans. Just run Lava Brink Venturer, man. Just pro
I think
ballista.
you added this note here that these foils are like $2.
Yeah.
That's a pretty low risk, high reward situation.
No sense in not getting them, man. Foil Lava Brink Venturers are $2 right now.
Oh,
It
been
can't
trying
hurt.
not to spend money on Magic cards. I'm waiting for all the stuff that I ordered at the shop to come in. General Kudrow we talked about. The Generals and Force we talked about. All right. One other card, and I sent Michael a deck list with this guy. Kinnan. I should look up that deck list. Because, come on, computer. Hello, computer. Do, 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 do.
This guy.
Let's have another awesome, ridiculous Simic card.
Yeah.
Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy. 2/2 legendary creature, human druid. You keep reading them. I'm going to look that list up.
Yeah, man. So he's a 2/2 for 2. Simic colors. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. So all of your mana dorks tap for 2 mana now. They tap for, an additional mana. All of your mana rocks tap for an additional mana. And then he has this cool ability where you pay 7. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So he basically allows you to Call of the Wild, but way better. And pick.
Eldrazi or non-human?
Yeah, man.
Non-land permanents tap for mana. So the list that I saw was exploiting Mox Amber, Tormod's Crypt, and Springleaf Drum.
Oh my God, Moxes. All of your Moxes.
And
That's so good.
This is a Pioneer deck.
Wow.
So you can go turn 1, Dork, turn 2, second land, Kinnan,
Wow.
Mox Amber, play a 4-drop.
Wow.
So on turn 2, you could have gone Dork. Turn 2, have Dork, Kinnan, 4-drop.
Wow.
So in this, they are running Walking Ballistas as creatures, Ornithopters for 0. Ornithopter is great because Ornithopter will help turn on your Springleaf Drum.
Wow. Dude, and your Springleaf Drum taps for 2 friggin' mana.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love it. Kinnan is awesome, dude.
This deck and other decks have sort of put Mana Confluence on my radar. And the only reason why I'm not saying go out and get those Mana Confluences is
Overpriced.
they're a little overpriced. If that's a card I could easily see getting reprinted in the next Zendikar set.
Oh, absolutely. It's $20 right now. And like originally when it was first, here's how you just know it's inherently overpriced. Because before Pioneer was a thing, right? This had rotated out of Standard and was still more expensive than City of Brass for no reason. Like, in fact, technically, City of Brass is better than this card. But City of Brass is more rare, older, and harder to come by. Like, I know I just said 2 similar things, rare and harder to come by. But at the same time, like, City of Brass is like $5, and this was like 10 at the time. And then Pioneer got announced, and of course now there's a reason for it to be more expensive, so it kind of shot up. But like even before then, I was like, I'm not paying $10 for like a technical worse City of Brass, that there's more of them out there. Like, this is just overpriced. So I think as soon as this catches a reprint and people realize there's more of them out there than you think, I think the price is going to go down quite a bit.
Okay, so I don't think that we've actually done this on the podcast before, but let's just run down this deck list, because I saw this and it made my big toe shoot up in my boot. Dude,
it just did me too. Like, this makes me want to get into Pioneer, mainly because it has a whole bunch of artifacts in it, and I love artifacts.
4 Ornithopter, 4 Walking Ballista.
I'm sold.
4 Kinnan Bonded Prodigy, 1 Thassa's Oracle,
which I don't quite understand yet.
We'll get to that. I can explain that for you. 4 Emery Lurker of the Loch, 4 Mox Amber, 4 Tormod's Crypt, 4 Springleaf Drum.
Okay.
We get to the we'll go on to spells. Instance, 1 Blink of an Eye, tempo. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
3 Metallic Rebuke. That's easy enough.
Yeah.
2 Commune with the Gods. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or enchantment card from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard.
Yeah, so you're just always grabbing a creature base. Or no, you got Underworld Breach in there. And Song of Creation.
Then we get to enchantments. And this would be on my short list of cards to talk about, but I think everybody's heard about it. So this is running 2 Underworld Breach and 4 Song of Creation.
Underworld Breach is just so busted. I just love that it's in there. I don't even know why. I just love that it is.
Well, because you can play through the whole deck.
Oh, my God.
With all the zeros that tap for mana.
Oh, my God.
You can keep playing Moxes and generate mana.
Oh, wow.
And with Emery, you can pull them back. So you can play your whole deck out and play Thassa's Oracle with a bunch of blue mana.
Oh, wow.
And what makes it really easy is that with Song of Creation, you can play an additional land on each of your turns. Whenever you cast a spell, draw 2 cards.
You're shitting me,
dude. And at the beginning of your end step, discard your hand.
You're shitting me.
So this deck that is like 12 0 drops, not counting Walking Ballista, because that would be like 16 0 drops. Emery costs 2, Thassa costs 2, Kinnan costs 2, Breach costs 2, Blink costs 2, Rebuke costs, depends on how you pay for it.
1.
Commune costs 2. Song of Creation is the most expensive card, and here it is 1 green, blue, red. Your hand's going to be empty by the time you play this. By the time you get 4 mana, I mean, now granted, I just said you can go turn 1 Springleaf Drum, turn 1 Springleaf Drum, turn 2 land Springleaf Drum, tap both Springleaf Drums for 4 mana.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you can't do that because you need to tap a creature for each of them.
Yeah, but you could tap your
Mox,
Ornithopters or like.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways in this deck where you can get 4 mana on turn 2.
Yep.
And play that Song of Creation on turn 2. You discard the couple of cards you might have left in your hand, and say to your opponent, "Okay, would you like to deal with my Kinnan, my Song of Creation?" Go
Song
ahead.
of Creation all day.
Yeah, that would be the thing that they would want to do.
Yep. Well, it seems like this is interesting. I feel like now that you've explained that to me, okay, I get Thassa's Oracle. I mean, I guess I always get Thassa's Oracle. The only friggin' reason you run that card in a deck is because you're trying to mill your entire deck out and slam that guy.
It's just an instant
it's
win.
Literally the only reason you run that card. But the more I look through this, the more I'm like, I like it. But if there was a more aggro approach in there or some sort of other win condition, I think I would like it more.
I have seen decks with Kinnan playing 4 mana Karn, our friend, that will go and let you get cards out of the sideboard, because playing that on turn 2 is pretty good.
And it's also a lot easier to cast than Song of Creation, because technically, yes, you can make 4 mana on turn 2, but making 4 mana of 3 different types on turn 2 with this deck appears to be pretty hard.
Well, we haven't talked about the mana base. Botanical Sanctums, Breeding Pools, Spire Bluff Canal, Spire of Industry, and Mana Confluence.
I guess. So you have like a whole bunch of different ways you can get mana of any color. in Spire of Industry, Mana Confluence, and then, really all of your lands. You only need green or blue, except for Song of Creation, where you need the red. So you're always able to make that red. Yeah, especially if you're doing it turn 2. You're obviously able to make the red. So I mean, I get it.
It's just, and again, this is Yeoman 5's list. He's a brewer. He's a podcaster on the Hardcast, I think it's called, and I can double check that.
That's a cool name,
man. He's an avid deck builder. Yeah, it's called the Hardcast.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do this. They say, okay, I'm going to do 50 brews before the start of the format. So this was one brew. But if this is what it looks like before anybody's actually really played a game, I'm in.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, just Kinnon's ability too. I feel like you could easily just throw like an Emrakul in there, and like, okay, yeah, there you go. Like, there's an alternate win. You just cycle through this until you hit your Emrakul, and yeah, we got it. I mean, and it doesn't even seem like it would be that hard to cast with all of the mana that this deck generates. Like,
I mean, that's like Kinnon doubles your mana from non-land sources.
Yeah.
Gross.
Man, this is cool.
So this set, and I guess this is true for all these heavily multicolor sets. There's so much going on that we won't even understand it for months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Man, I think we killed it. Like, we got to the big boys. We
did.
got to these ones too. I love this. We gotta take a few more weeks and jam down through some of these cool lists, man, and talk about them. I really like this. This is especially these speculative ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you again, everybody, for listening to the SnapCast podcast. Thank you, Mike, for coming over and hanging out.
Always.
Leave us comments about any way that you see that we can improve the podcast. We would love to have your feedback. Again, give me those cool card interactions, because I'll tell you what, they don't come natural to me.
Yeah.
But you know what does come natural to me? My love for this guy.
Right back at you, man.
It was great hanging out. I'll see you next week.
See you then. And don't forget, death touch and trample, homies.